This is Fred Hall speaking. I have been asked to give something of a history of the lime industry in the town of North Canaan. In the course of research of information on history of our town, I have run across an article written in 1938 by William T. Wallace, a longtime resident of Canaan, relative to this very subject. Bill Wallace, with whom I was well acquainted, was a man who was involved in several avenues of business in Canaan, including lime business. He had a keen mind and, no doubt, had much of the information contained in his historical article in his memory. Feeling that his story carries the information desired, I will read his words as follows. The burning of lime in this town dates back almost to its foundation, as the original lime burners were the farmers about the country here, many of whom burned the lime in their own homemade kilns and drew it to Hartford with horses or oxen. The pioneers among those who manufactured lime on a commercial scale were probably Charles Barnes, William Hinman, and Daniel L. Pierce. Hinman opened a lime quarry on the Deacon Rood farm in Sodom, afterward worked by one Maxwell, and later by Rood and Goodwin until about 1868. D. L. Pierce and W. B. Hinman built the first perpetual kiln in 1853 on the property afterward operated by Charles Barnes, and later under the firm name of Charles Barnes' Sons. About 1870, D. L. Pierce and John Grace built a lime kiln at the Barcon quarry, and John Grace, who was the quarryman, was killed by a blast in the quarry. Edmund Lawrence was afterward associated with Mr. Pierce under the firm name of Pierce and Lawrence, later changed to Pierce, Lawrence and Company when Daniel L. Freeman joined the firm. Shortly after that, when Mr. Lawrence withdrew his interest, the firm became Pierce and Freeman and was incorporated as the Pierce and Freeman Company in 1902. The Canaan Lime Company was incorporated in 1888 and operated a plant on the lower road to East Canaan at what was known as the Lewis Quarry. Dr. C. W. Camp, Harlan P. Tracy, Samuel Eddy, and Edward E. Bartram were interested in this company. A little later, Joseph S. Adam and Augustus W. Nickel, operating as J.S. Adam and Company, opened a quarry on the Fitzgerald farm and were more or less successful in burning lime with oil. This lime was put on the market under the name of the Anchor brand, and the concern was commonly referred to as the Anchor Sims Company or the Oil Kiln. This property was acquired subsequently by the New England Lime Company, and by that corporation was sold to the Connecticut Lime Company. About 1890, or a little later, William and Wallace Canfield built lime kilns at East Canaan, where, as Canfield brothers, they made lime from stone dug on the Anson Lawrence farm. In 1902, the Pierce and Freeman Company, Charles Barnes' Sons, Canfield brothers, and the Canaan Lime Company, with several other lime companies in western Connecticut and Massachusetts, were merged as the New England Lime Company, the offices of which for a few years located at Canaan, at first in the rooms over the railroad station, and as soon as the building was completed, in the house on West Main Street, now owned by the Knights of Columbus. Following disagreement among the officers of the company, the office was lost to Canaan and removed to New Milford and later to Pittsfield. In 1905, Arthur P. Freeman, John F. Dealey, M. H. Dealey, and Albert M. Turner organized the Connecticut White Lime Company, the name of which was changed the following year to the Connecticut Lime Company, operating a leased quarry on the Dr. George Adam Farm, and later acquiring from the New England Lime Company the quarry opened by J.S. Adam and Company. This company for a number of years was successful burning lime with coal. In 1905, George W. Green, W. L. Sanford, George A. Marvin, and Samuel G. Camp organized the Connecticut Western Lime Company, and for a few years burned limestone from a quarry in Sodom. In 1907, William Canfield Jr., Joseph H. Lansing, and George W. Diedrich organized the Canfield Lime Company and built lime kilns at East Canaan, getting the lime from the Batterson Quarry. This plant was subsequently acquired by Hotchkiss Brothers of Torrington and finally taken over by the New England Lime Company. The A&M Barnes Lime Company was incorporated in Canaan, but conducted business in Sheffield and was succeeded there by the Berkshire Hills Lime Company. T.W. Barhoff organized a company known as the Allendale Lime Company and located the kilns at the Allen Quarry in East Canaan, where the business is now in the hands of the Allen brothers. In the 1860s, lime was manufactured on the Sand Road, so-called, a little to the north of the quarry now operated by the U.S. Gypsum Company, and Dr. Charles B. Maltby burned limestone in a kiln located on the property now owned by the Gypsum Company. The railroad had a spur track known as Maltby's Siding, running from the main line to these kilns. This quarry was also at one time operated by American Marble Company for the purpose of quarrying marble for building construction. A few years ago, this property was acquired by U.S. Gypsum Company, and a very large business has been developed in ground limestone used for a variety of purposes. Of all the old plants, only one remains in steady operation, the P&F branch of the New England Lime Company, under the supervision of William Crowe. The Allendale is operating intermittently under Allen Brothers. The Connecticut Lime Company, of which the writer was superintendent for about 8 years, will probably never operate again. This quarry is 134 feet deep. Those living in town who at one time or another were in charge of different plants are William Crowe, Harry Waller, William J. Reel, William T. Wallace, Dewey Canfield, Samuel A. Eddy, Howard F. Lawrence, Lewis Allen, and James Casey. Martin McCarty of Canaan was for years head of the Berkshire Hills Lime Company in Sheffield. Samuel A. Eddy and Wallace Canfield, so far as I know, are the only persons now here who are originally founders and operators. Mr. Canfield is still interested in the New England Lime Company. In all, there were 40 lime kilns in town, and if all operated at once, they would produce 3,000 barrels per day, or 30 tons, which would require about 1,000 tons of stone daily. The output per day for the kilns in town, excepting the Connecticut lime plant, ran from 55 to 100 barrels per day per kiln. That of the Connecticut plant, which had larger type of kilns, ran from 110 to 180 barrels per day. From the start of lime burning as an industry until a few years ago, hundreds of cars came to the individual plants monthly. Many, many men and teams were regularly employed every day, year after year, cutting and drawing wood, which was the only fuel used. I believe Burton Pierce, Edward L. Roberts, and Samuel A. Eddy are the only remaining men in town who were wood buyers or superintendents of the vast wood products for the lime companies. The barrel stock hoops, heads, and staves were once all procured locally, but gradually spread out as an industry by itself. Thousands of hoops were cut in Ulster County, New York, by the mountaineers in the winter months. The woodsmen exchanged them at their local stores for necessities of life. The stores would then ship them here for use. Many coopers were engaged in making barrels here for years, until the advent of manufactured wood and steel barrels took their market. One branch of the lime industry is the cutting of limestone for fluxing furnaces and foundry cupolas. Others are the use of the crushed stone for agricultural lime, artificial marble, terrazzo, and fancy concrete, and so forth. The New England Lime Company, the U.S. Gypsum Company, and Allendale all are engaged in making these products. The manufacturing of hydrated lime for its many uses is conducted by the P&F branch of New England Lime Company. The product is for agricultural and building purposes and is shipped in paper bags. A pulverized quicklime is also prepared in paper. The U.S. Gypsum Company plant is wholly a crushing, grinding, and pulverizing operation. They process for themselves, as well as for the general trade, all of the coarse, fine, and very fine grades. All limestone in this area is dolomite, which makes what is known as common lime. It is a coarse-grained stone, mostly either gray or white, and is fairly high in magnesium. Drilling was done for years in the quarries with hand drills. Later, drills were operated by steam, and still later by air compressors with their high-speed jackhammers and sinker drills, which eliminated steam. Electricity for the pumps, hoists, light, and power has now displaced steam entirely. And that is the end of the article by Bill Wallace. Continuing, the next development in the lime business, and one of the greatest magnitude, was the building of the so-called magnesium plant. In 1942, in the interest of the gigantic World War II effort, New England Lime Company built the magnesium plant on Daisy Hill here in Canaan. The business was operated under the name of Nilco, a subsidiary of New England Lime Company. The limestone, more properly called dolomite, which comes from our quarries, has a high magnesium content, and the growing demand for light metal, yet strong, was making itself evident. Magnesium was obtained through a thermal reduction process involving ferrosilicon and dolomite lime in high-temperature retorts. The new plant was equipped with a large rotary kiln for the faster production of lime. Magnesium production was carried out through the World War II years. Following the war, the plant continued on in the production of limestone products for commercial use. Calcium, made from stone from the quarry in Adams, Massachusetts, was also manufactured here for the use in making alloys. During the Korean conflict, the plant again went into the production of magnesium. In 1961, Pfizer Incorporated bought all the holdings of the New England Lime Company and are at this date, in 1991, still operating under that name.